Hope you're all having a nice day. It is Power here, just trying out a different intro for once. I wanted to do a video basically explaining what I see a lot of in new players' decks and maybe why, why you maybe not winning as many games as you would like to, and how you can improve your deck. This is not supposed to be a deck for seasoned players who've been playing for weeks, months, years. You know, this is very much a beginner's video. So if you see something like completely obvious, don't get offended. Like, this is supposed to be, you know, if you're brand new, basically, this is the video for you. So bearing in mind, I'll do a separate video talking about the theme decks and how you should actually start the game. But this video is just one focusing on deck building itself, and I picked a wide variety of very rare, very powerful cards to talk about. So usually the first thing I see in a deck is that people play like a lot of GX Pokemon. I'm just going to use Flygon GX over here as my example, because Flygon GX is a pretty good card. Like, he has some really good attacks, he's got a nice ability, he's got a very good GX attack. But what I want to highlight about Flygon is the fact that he needs 3 copies of Fighting Energy attached to Flygon to actually attack. And that's the problem I see with like a lot of decks, is they play 20 Pokemon, they play 20 trainers, they play 20 energy. And unfortunately, you know, accelerating 3 Fighting Energy on a Flygon is very tough. Like, I'm not saying it's not impossible. There are trainer cards. There's a tag team supporter card called Red and Blue, which does it very nicely. But, you know, I'm just using Flygon as an example here to say that GXs and Vs, for that matter, who need a lot of different energy, are generally quite expensive and hard to pay the attack cost of. It gets a bit easier when you look at the bigger VMAXs, which, for example, have colorless attacks, such as Snorlax VMAX, who is a very easy card to build a deck around. So, obviously, just throwing a bunch of different types into a deck doesn't work. Now, I know a lot of us would hope that it does work, and to be honest, I've tried it many a times. When I was first starting out, I was like, I really want to build this, and to be honest, if you want to have fun, then yeah, go ahead. To be honest, it's a surefire way to, you know, have some fun playing some games. I'm not trying to sound arrogant or mean. I'm just trying to like point out that throwing everything you own that's shiny into a deck sadly won't work. It's the bitter truth about this game, and even if you can trade it away for better stuff, it's sadly just not very good. So what I'd like to point out is that I only have one Reshiram and Charizard tag team. I know a lot of people have a couple of copies, but I only have the one for now, and I would never build a Charizard deck because I only have one. So you would need multiple copies of a tag team, and that's the next point I want to make, is that if you want to build like a tag team or V deck, you know, buy multiple copies. Get like multiple copies of the same card. It does take a little while to trade up, especially for some of the more expensive cards, but you know, it will help you in the long run. You may think, oh, why do I want to run 3 Charizard when I only want to use it once per game? Well, if you have more of them, then you're more likely to draw into them. Like, this seems like very basic knowledge to start off with, but it's way more simpler than you think. You just need a lot of copies of this, and then all of a sudden, wait a minute, I can draw into it. It's great. Same goes for, where are you? Gengar Mimikyu. Gengar Mimikyu is possibly an exception on this list. He needs very little to make him work. He needs 2 Psychic Energy. He's one of the cheapest tag team GX decks. I think he's only about 1 pack of the currency that use Rebel Clash at the minute. And Poltergeist is really easy to use. It's a nice, you know, beginner-friendly attack. The GX attack is very catchy. I like it a lot. I only have 1 copy of these. Like, you need to play about 3 of them, to be honest, to make it a good card. So that's why, you know, you need multiple copies of the tag teams. Obviously, it does get into a bit more chaotic territory. For example, when you're looking at the likes of Slowduck and Psyduck, who I'd say is an exception, like, you'll need a couple of copies of this card in your deck if you were to play it for the whole Ditch and Splash crazy attack. So yeah, you can sort of mix and match, but be mindful about having loads of stuff. So what are the best decks? So like, what is like the best archetype? So currently, in case you haven't realized, Dragon Pult VMAX is the best deck in the format currently. That might all change in a couple of months when the next set comes out, but right now, Dragon Pult VMAX is the best deck in the format. It has the Max Phantom GX attack for 2 Psychic Energy, it does 130 damage, and you put 5 damage counters on your opponent's bench Pokemon in any way you like. In less complicated terms, that's just 50 damage arranged however you want. So it's a pretty good attack. It's what makes the deck so strong. It has 320 HP, which is an awful lot. Tree cost of 1, very favorable resistance and weakness right now, and is a very good card. So I'd watch out for this guy. And also, if you pack a few, consider building it. Like, don't consider like trading it away. Like, if you've just bought a load of Rebel Clash packs online, you don't really have a deck, then this is a good one to start with. It's fairly easy to play, but you might struggle if you only have some of the pieces for it, because it is, it's pretty expensive. It's a pretty expensive deck. 4 Jirachi is a staple in most decks, although you don't have to play Jirachi. I've got to the final stage of the ladder that you can play on Pokemon TCG Online, and I have no Jirachi whatsoever. It's proven, like, you can win loads of games without Jirachi. It's not essential, but it makes your deck so much stronger, especially if you're sort of working on a slightly cheaper deck, if you're not playing Dedenne GX over on my left-hand side over there. And Jirachi's about 15 packs of the latest currency. And you can only win 6 tradable packs if you come first in a tournament online. So Jirachi is very much a case of you either save up for a few, you trade for a few, or you get lucky, you pull them, I guess. But, I've not got round to buying Jirachi, and I may never will, to be honest. That's just a fact. I'm just not a fan of the guy. I mean, I love the artwork, I love the ability, it's amazing. But you do not need Jirachi to survive. Like, 2 Jirachi is ideal. In real life, it's a bit easier, because the prices can vary, you can find people who are happy to trade with you. But online, it's a bit of a different story. Then we have Dedenne GX over here I want to talk about with Dedenne Change. It lets you put your hand, you can put it onto your bench, discard your hand, and draw 6 new cards. It's a really nice consistency card, as you're drawing more cards out of your deck, and it's basically a staple in a lot of top tier decks. Most people play 1 or 2 copies of this guy. He's about 30 quid, I think, in real life, and he's about 25 packs last time I looked online, so kind of a lot. So if you're thinking, well, you've shown me examples of good deck, you've shown me examples of a bad deck, you show me examples of stuff we need, how do I go about making one? So the easiest way to make a Pokemon deck is to look for a combo of 2 cards that work really well. For example, here we have Celebi V and Ribombee. Celebi V has the attack Line Force for a Grass and a Colorless Energy, does 50 damage and then 20 more for each of your benched Pokemon. So you can have up to 5 benched Pokemon in the game, so that's an awful lot more damage. It's plus 100 damage. But we need ways of accelerating the Grass Energy. We need to be able to use Line Force every turn on our different Celebi Vs, should they be knocked out. So the most obvious partner is Ribombee, who says once in your turn you may search your deck for up to 2 Grass Energy and attach them to one of your Pokemon. So not only is Ribombee taking a bench slot, but he's also accelerating for Line Force. Now I'm not saying this is an absolutely broken deck, I'm not saying you'll win every game with this deck, I'm just using it as a very easy example for people to understand. It's a pretty easy concept to grasp. Anything else I want to talk about really is that if you play at a local event, and I want to click on him, sorry. If you play a local event and you find that your opponents are playing the exact same stuff every time, you might find that you can counter it. So, for example, if everyone is playing tag team Pokemon, they're playing Ultra Beast decks, they're playing Special Energy decks, then consider Persian. Persian says prevent all effects of attacks, including damage done to this Pokemon by your opponent's tag team, Ultra Beasts, and any Special Energy. And it doesn't sound too overpowered, and to be honest, it's not the most horrendously brilliant thing ever. It's not unstoppable, but it's still pretty good, and you might find a lot of use for it. Consider Savalai. He gives your basic Pokemon no retreat cost. And there is also another Savalai GX, which I forgot to add, with Disc Reload. I don't know if you can see that clearly, but it says once during your turn, you may draw cards until you have 5 in your hand, which is a very good ability. So it's sort of like an alternate, cheaper Dedenne, and it's pretty good. If you need ways to accelerate energy, why not Electro GX? You can accelerate it to Tag Team Pokemon, EX, or regular GX, but 5 energy from the discard pile for the price of knocking out Electrode is still pretty good value, and many decks can use this. Snorlax VMAX. Snorlax VMAX is a very easy tag team to play. You don't actually need all the deck requirements. Like, a lot of people play it with Indeedee V, so if you have a few of them, this could be a good deck. Gmax full, 60 damage, attack does 30 more for each of your bench Pokemon. So really the bare requirements for this is that you need a way of putting 3 energy on Snorlax and filling up your bench. To be honest, it is as easy as that. It's a bit better in Expanded, but it's still a good deck in Standard. So if you have a good deck in Expanded and Standard, it means you have an alternate win. We also have Mallow and Lana. I just wanted to quickly point out Mallow and Lana because it says switch your active with one of your bench Pokemon. When you play this card, you may also discard 2 other cards from your hand. If you do, heal 120 damage from the Pokemon you moved. This is a much better card than Pokemon Center Lady, which does heal 60 and removes all conditions. I know Center Lady's been in 1 or 2 of my videos before. I know Center Lady's a pretty okay card in some decks, but generally if you want a healing supporter, go for Mallow and Lana. I know a lot of people play Center Lady, but like Mallow and Lana is just better value. You get to switch, so you get to shift the Pokemon, and you get to heal 120 hit points, so it's really good. I've seen a lot of people play Hop. You can play Hop. To be honest, it's one of the few supporters I would say you can definitely play in Slowduck because you have to discard loads of supporters, so you have to draw a load of supporters, which is why Hop is okay. But unless you really like the guy, I don't think Hop is a particularly good supporter, and I would not recommend playing it. If you have any questions at all, be sure to leave them in the comments section. I don't think I've missed anything. I haven't talked about Charizard, but I think I'll leave him out for today's video. But yeah, that should be everything. I hope you enjoyed this video. Be sure to leave a like or comment if you want. I'll be around. It's been Ember Power, and I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll be sure to see you next time.